you for joining us for our webinar presentation on how to drive holiday foot traffic using fan advocacy. This is a recording of our live session, which was unfortunately interrupted due to some technical difficulties. So we're running through it from the top, and appreciate all of those of you who took the time to join us live, and for those of you who are catching up on this re-recording of it. This is Brian Razzaque. I am the CEO of SocialToaster, and joining me today as well is Jason Spooner, who's the Director of Media for the company. In terms of the agenda, as with all of our webinars, we try to keep them brief and spend maybe 20 minutes talking about the content, and generally try to have time afterwards for question and answers. In this instance, we would, if you do have questions, we'd love for you to email us at info@SocialToaster, and we will be happy to answer those for you. So for the agenda for today, we are going to be walking through, first and foremost, talking about the in-store experience. We want to just go over existing material that you already probably know about what makes the in-store experience unique, and tie that into the upcoming holiday calendar, just to give some context for the deeper dive in terms of how to take traditional tactics and then leverage fan advocacy as a new means of distribution and promotion. And then we'll follow that up with a brief case study and then final summary takeaways. So with that, let me turn over to Jason to talk about what makes in-store unique.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brian. Everybody, thank you so much for viewing this webinar, this pre-recorded webinar. I just want to jump right in here and talk a little bit about what makes retail and in-store a unique place to be in, a unique space during the holiday season. Everyone is most likely aware of this. We're all seasoned marketers. I'm not going to spend too much in the back of everyone's mind as we go through and talk about fan advocacy. First area that makes retail unique is instant gratification. Unlike e-commerce or anything digital, there's no shipping, there's no waiting or worrying for a product. I can walk into a store and I can walk out with my needs fulfilled, and that's very important, especially in the holiday season. Number two is physical location. It's an actual brick and mortar store. I'm journeying to a physical location that has physical goods. So I can try on any clothes that I want to wear, I can test out any product, I can compare features from one blender to another blender, and everything's happening in the 3 dimensions. Another unique aspect of retail is selection. I can browse through a large selection of various products very easily. I don't have to open up 30 or 40 tabs. I don't have to worry about going to an e-commerce store that only specializes in a very niche product. I can have a vast selection. I can also be introduced to new brands and new opportunities for gift giving that I'm not fully aware of, or it hasn't actually been on my radar yet. I can view these unique product lines that are only carried in specialty stores and specialty boutiques much more easily than having to do the research or stumble across them in the blog post. And then lastly, the other thing that makes retail unique is just the general retail experience. There's a lot of reasons why people go shopping. It's not always about coming home with something. Sometimes it's about the entertainment. Sometimes it's about education of the product or the service that's being offered. So you want to make sure that you are always toting the benefits of the retail experience. Maybe you have in-store fashion consultants, private shoppers, maybe you have experts on staff. Whatever it is that you're offering that's setting your retail space apart, make sure that that's toted, because that is one of the big drivers for what makes retail unique. Moving forward, this is just a simple calendar that's outlining what the major holiday season days are for this year. So for a retail perspective, obviously you want to pay attention to November 25th, that's Black Friday, and then also November 26th with a Small Business Saturday. The other dates that I would really like for everyone to focus on are the 16th and the 19th. So that's Free Shipping Saturday. Both of those days are really important in the e-commerce world because those are the last days really that you can count on having a product shipped to you before the holiday season. So if it's the 20th or the 17th, sending out friendly messages about how there is no shipping on a retail location, that you don't have to worry about if it's going to get there on time, those are important to send out. And then on December 24th, we have Christmas Eve, as always, but we also have the first day of Hanukkah. And what we've seen in the past recent years is that day before holiday buying rush it's just growing more and more. People are procrastinating more and more. It's accounting for a bigger chunk of the overall holiday sales. So just be aware of that. If you want to be open for extended hours, if you want to offer free gift wrapping, just make sure that if you're doing it on those dates, you're letting everybody know, as there's going to be a lot more people looking for those last-minute purchases than there were in the year before that, and the year before that. So it's just important to keep in mind. A couple of traditional traffic drivers during the holidays. These are just the tried and true bread and butter of a retail sales driver, retail traffic driver. Again, we want you to kind of keep these in the back of your mind for when we talk about fan engagement and fan advocacy, because all of these can be tied together to a fan advocacy program. Obviously, you have your coupons and your discounts. Those have always been vital and important as for a traffic driver because they work. In-store events are always fun, whether you're hosting experts or panelists, if you're a bookstore bringing in the authors, if you're a wine store bringing in sommeliers or fancy wine people, if you want to use that terminology. Expert advice, again, toting the fact that you have an expert in a certain field on staff or available to answer questions makes a buyer feel more comfortable. The more they know about the product, especially a higher end product, the more they are to make the purchase. Curb appeal, making sure, and I hate that we have to say this, but we do want to tote this, but making sure that the store looks great from the outside, that you have relative signage, maybe you have one of those cheap sandwich boards or chalkboards, whatever it is that you're doing to stop any pedestrian traffic that's going by your store to draw them in. Advertising, not just traditional retail advertising like what we think about with radio or with out-of-home or TV, but there's also a lot of digital services that speak specifically to brick-and-mortar stores. So you can advertise on Waze, Google locations, on Google Maps is an offering that draws attention directly to your store, and likewise Facebook has their local awareness offering. If you're not familiar with those, you want to talk more about those, just shoot us an email or give us a call. Glad to walk you through what those look like. On top of both of these, we do have the rise in AR. While we don't believe that this is going to be a huge impact in this year's holiday shopping, it is something to be aware of and something you can go ahead and capitalize on now. I think everybody's aware of the Pokemon Go phenomenon. It's a cultural milestone in our opinion, and we see brands, retail brands, big and small, just jumping on the impact that that's had among our youth, whether it's offering discounts if they're on certain teams, or if it's having their location actually being a Pokemon stop and giving water, or just creating a friendly environment for people to come into the store location. That's going a long way. And very soon they're going to be actually rolling out advertising within the platform itself. So if you are featured on the game and you want to highlight your brand, they're going to allow you to do that through a paid search. And that's going to be a pretty nice traffic driver for retail. And then lastly, of course, if you have any product announcements, especially as we move into the holidays, there's new product lines, new product opportunities, you want to make sure that you're talking about that in your advertising and messaging. So I'm going to turn this back over to Brian just to introduce us to what is an actual fan advocate and an influencer.
All right, so thanks, Jason. So again, appreciate you bearing with us as we kind of touched on tactics and sort of what makes the in-store experience unique, but as I said, it felt like it gives context to this idea of using influencers and advocates as a new channel or an additional channel to help drive the traffic and to promote those tactics. So before we dive into it, let's talk about what exactly it means to be an influencer or be an advocate. Traditionally, when we talk about influencer marketing, we're talking about the idea of a celebrity or an individual who has 50,000 plus fans or followers. These individuals typically expect compensation every time you tap into them to engage. And as a result, the engagement with a traditional influencer tends to be more of a single burst or a one-off without a lot of sort of repeat engagement. The last year and a half or so, we've seen the rise of what we've dubbed the micro-influencer. And this we're pretty excited about. It's a bit of a newer segment. And these tend to be individuals who are sort of celebrities in their own right, meaning that they tend to be popular on a specific channel, whether that's Instagram or YouTube. They tend to have a following around a particular specialty, so whether it's cooking or makeup or some sort of sporting activity. And they do still expect to be compensated, but they generally cost significantly less than a traditional influencer. And one of the benefits of that is that they typically are also willing to have a conversation around multiple engagements. So, if you're running a 6-week campaign, it's generally possible to tap into one of these people to help you support that entire 6-week campaign. And then finally, you get down to what's near and dear to our hearts, which is the idea of a fan advocate. So a traditional advocate in this sense is a true fan of a brand. They have a strong affinity for the brand. They want to talk about it. They like the product. They like the content. And they're generally willing to share, ideally primarily because they believe in the content and they believe in the brand and it's interesting to them and to their friends. And then you would couple that with some sort of, not necessarily monetary compensation, but usually pricing or a discount or product, additional product, something that's valuable to them because of the inherent relationship that they have with the brand. So with that in mind, go to the next slide here, which is the power of this traditional advocate. So a lot of times, we get very focused on the celebrities and the one-offs with 50,000 fans, but our own data, we're able to show that a typical person generally is connected to 450 plus people on an individual basis. So when you take that and you multiply it out times a couple hundred of these true advocates, you can see that very quickly you can start to exceed the performance of a corresponding brand Facebook page that has, say, 1 million fans. So in this example, we're showing how on average 150 fans are going to have better engagement than 1 million Facebook fans. When we look at that, it then becomes very compelling to try to structure programs that tap into these individuals. Now, here at SocialToaster, we obviously are biased. We provide a product that does help to facilitate that and does help to do that. That's not necessarily to say that you should only use our platform. There are ways to engage or construct programs with fan advocates at a smaller scale. But the idea or the concept here is to now look at this audience and apply their activities in combination with these traditional marketing tactics. So a campaign generally will involve a hybrid of sales messaging as well as general content sharing. So trying to ask this audience to share articles and content with their friends that is related to the brand, related to the product that they would want to share just because it's interesting, coupled with please share this call to action, please share this coupon, or please share news about this event. We typically recommend an 80-20 rule, where 80% of the content that you're reaching out to this audience with and you're trying to get them to engage around is just this inherently interesting content. And then 20% of it is the direct call to action. And so you layer that in with these traditional tactics that we touched on to help drive real results. So next slide here, and let me turn it over to Jason, who will talk about, as an actual case study, a jeweler that we worked with called Benbridge.
Yeah, thanks so much, Brian. So Benbridge is a jewelry retail location on the West Coast. They have about 80, 85 locations. If you're listening to this and you're in California, you're in Portland, you're in Nevada, you've heard of this store, I'm sure. So Benbridge came to us and partnered with us to run a fan advocacy program. The program was supported by digital advertising, so social media ads, a couple of display banner ads, and some really fine-tuned influencer marketing. The overarching goal of the program was to drive individuals into a fan advocacy program and have them complete a quiz. So the quiz was kind of your standard BuzzFeed quiz or what you see on social channels. It had 4 various options. Depending on how you answer the questions, you would receive a coupon for one of 4 free bracelets. So you might be an opal, you might be an amethyst, whatever the case would be, you would receive a coupon for a free bracelet. Now the traffic driving portion of this is that the coupon is only redeemable in store. So we wanted to make sure that we had this digital experience, this digital engagement, that then drove individuals to the actual physical retail location to redeem. Over 19,000 coupons were distributed total throughout the entire engagement experience. And then on the redemption side, they had around 15,000 bracelets in staff or in store across all markets. And they were almost, by the time the program had ended, they'd almost run out completely across many of their key markets and demographics. So widely successful in just getting brand impressions, widely successful in having quiz completions and coupons distributed, and then on the inside, widely successful at driving traffic into the store. So this is just one illustration of how the fan advocacy in the digital world can drive traffic and sales at a physical location. We do have a couple other examples that we've seen many of our brands use on the retail side. We've talked about in-store events. We've seen brands use fan advocacy to drive awareness of the event before the event, drive excitement during the event, and then utilize the content from previous events to drive excitement for the next event. So if you're in a situation where you're seeing that you have another event coming up, being able to showcase some of the excitement from a previous event can go a long way to driving engagement for the next event. From a coupon side, we've seen fan advocacy programs being used to disseminate coupons, and then we've also seen really, I would use the word intelligent brands, analyze the data to determine who were their most engaged followers in the fan advocacy program, and then giving those people special treatment, whether it's special discount codes, early access, special VIP events with champagne. I've seen a lot of brands get really creative with how they reward those individuals that go above and beyond in sharing and promoting their brand. And then lastly, again, we see fan advocacy being used to promote the retail unique messaging. So any in-house services, personal shopping, product customization, etc. Reminders of no shipping. If anyone's ever worried about meeting a deadline for a certain holiday, telling people about how they don't have to worry about that in retail location. And then we talked about this before, about the promotion of new product lines. If you have a new product offering in store, you're expanding what you're offering, or you have a product that has a great story, be sure that you use fan advocacy to help tell that story and share it with your customer base. All right. And then last but not least, to the questions portion.
So again, thank you for taking the time to watch this recording, and again, appreciate it if you joined us when it was live. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we do appreciate you taking the time. Hopefully this was helpful. If you do have any questions, again, please go ahead and email them to us at info@SocialToaster, and we look forward to having you join us on our next webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.